So there has been a hot button Nintendo topic that has been burning up the YouTube charts over the past week or so, and it has to do with Nintendo's pricing. The pricing of their games, the pricing of their console, the pricing of new releases, hardware and controllers, everything that they're doing, and a lot of it picking up steam this week as the result of the announcement of the Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 collection. Of course, we all know that in the last Nintendo Direct, this was one of the Mario 40th anniversary announcements to open up the show. And initially, it was really exciting. I mean, I guess I can't speak for everybody, but for myself, as I watched that happen, I was stoked because I'm on record many times saying that Super Mario Galaxy is both my favorite Mario game of all time, the first Mario Galaxy, it's my favorite Mario game of all time, and it's in my top 10 favorite video games of all time. I think it's excellent. I, of course, still own it. And Mario Galaxy 2, while in my opinion not as good as the original game, is still excellent. I mean, it's still like a 9.5 out of 10. It's borderline a masterpiece. I love that game as well, and I own my original copy of that game as well. And so, yeah, like I said, initially this was an exciting thing to see in that opening 10 or 15 minutes, all about Mario. We got a couple of cool new things. I'm somebody very excited for the Yoshi game, for example. I think that thing looks so fun, and I can't wait for it. But the Galaxy 1 and 2 was something that people wanted to see, mostly Galaxy 2, because Galaxy 1, of course, has already been ported in HD to the Switch via the 3D All-Stars collection, so this Galaxy 2 announcement, even combined with Galaxy 1, was really cool. But after the show was over, everyone started to realize that Nintendo has priced these games, or this collection of games, whether you buy them individually or together as one package, they've priced them, let's say, pretty high. So if you were to buy them as a collection, whether it's the physical copy or if you were to buy it as a bundle like on the eShop, it's $70, which is way more than I thought that they were going to sell them as a collection together. However, they are selling them independently, which I do think is very cool. You can buy them digitally only. You can buy just Galaxy 1 or just Galaxy 2, which I like that they're selling them separately, but as we all know, and you can even see right here, the individual games are $40 a piece. So $70 for the two games together as a collection, which basically makes them $35 a piece, or $40 individually. And look, I'm just going to cut right to the chase. I agree with everyone else who says that these games are way overpriced. I don't really know why Nintendo chose to do this because, in my opinion, the Mario 3D All-Stars collection, which I own a physical copy of, I bought that right away and when it was announced, because as we know, that was also a limited release. I think a decision no one will ever understand, but that is what it was. And it's actually worth mentioning this. When the 3D All-Stars collection came out, I remember there was actually some hubbub about the price on that as well. I'm pretty sure that was a full-priced game, so $60 for that collection, which was 3 games, essentially making each game $20 a piece. And a lot of people I do remember were unhappy about that price. I personally didn't mind it, because it was 3 of my favorite games of all time, 3 incredible masterpieces of games. I love Sunshine. I'm not going to call it a masterpiece, okay? But I do love that game. I am a defender and an enjoyer of Sunshine. But Mario 64 is a masterpiece. Mario Galaxy is a masterpiece. And so when I saw those games, I had a physical cartridge on my Nintendo Switch of those 3 games in HD, $20 a piece. I found it to be a good price. Because imagine if they sold those on the eShop independently, $20 a piece. I think that would have been a fine price. But buying it as one collection, that worked for me. But again, we come back to the Galaxy 1 and 2 thing, and I think that this is just another in a long line of signs that, as much as I love Nintendo, and I still love Nintendo, and I always have, so far we're seeing signs in the Switch 2 generation that their success in the Switch generation I guess it's fair to say has maybe gone to their head. I know that sometimes things have to be priced a certain way just because they have to, because it costs you money to produce it. If you have to split the revenue with your retailers or your shipping partners, and in the current situation specific to North America, or to the United States, I should say, obviously how tariffs have maybe been affecting things and prices have had to rise. So yeah, sometimes you have to sell things at a certain price, sure, but I do think that by and large, when you take a bird's eye view of how things have been priced, I don't think this is true across the board, but a lot of their pricing decisions so far in the Switch 2 era are pretty heavy-handed. Look, I love Mario Kart World, but that game shouldn't be $80, and I don't think that every accessory is priced appropriately. I think several of them are overpriced, even before the tariff inflation price jump that happened a few months ago, where everything went up by $5 or $10 again. And then, again, Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. Two incredible games, but when you look at what they are, just HD ports of old Wii games, one of them that's already been released on the Switch, it is out of this world insane to charge $40 a piece for those, or even $70 for the bundle. Now, it is worth noting a couple of things that I don't want to leave out of this conversation. And I know I'm kind of also speaking on a lot of talking points that everyone has already probably talked about or made videos about over the past week. I'm very late to this conversation. This is just when I had the time to do it, given my work schedule and my life schedule. And I've also been thinking about it and realized that today was the day I just wanted to discuss it. So I know I'm going over points you've heard other YouTubers discuss, but this is just me talking about my perspective. We have to talk about how Mario Galaxy, which is the one that already exists on the Switch 1 3D All-Stars collection, is going from 1080 to 4K, I believe, and they have improved some of the textures. So, to that game's credit, it's not an identical port from the Switch 1. They're giving it an additional boost visually and performance-wise to a degree for the Switch 2 version. So, okay, it's not a one-to-one port of the Switch HD port, but it's not also a huge significant difference either. And then with Mario Galaxy 2, they clearly had to... I don't know the exact details of the control. At this point, I haven't had the time to look it up even over the past week, so forgive me. But they clearly had to do something for Yoshi to make the controls work. So Mario Galaxy 2, whether it's using the mouse function or motion function, or maybe even they have an option where you can map the tongue pointer to an analog stick or something, they would have had to make some adjustments there. And then they added some storybook pages to the games, and personally, I don't really care about that stuff, which might sound crazy to you guys, given that I'm a Mario Galaxy super fan, but I just don't care about the story and the storybook and all that. I don't even know how that all plays out. I just love the game and the gameplay and the levels. But they've added some storybook pages, so hooray, I guess that's something. So, I do want to at least be fair to the games in the one respect of they've made some adjustments to the games a little bit, tiny little things. So, okay, that's fine, but I still don't think it justifies the $70 bundle price, and it definitely does not justify the $40 individual price. And again, the first Mario Galaxy is really the perfect barometer for understanding this, because, as I said earlier, the Switch 1 version of the Mario Galaxy port, when you break down the pricing within the collection, comes out to $20. And so now we're getting the Switch 2 version that is, yes, it's 4K and maybe some slightly improved textures, but I don't think that justifies doubling the value of Mario Galaxy 1 over the Switch 1 version. I mean, I honestly think that this collection should have been $40. That's what I was expecting. When I was watching it in the Nintendo Direct, and I realized that it was a bundle of Galaxy 1 and 2, and I was thinking, well, I have Galaxy on the Wii, and I have 3D All-Stars on the Switch, but I would buy this again to have it on the Switch 2, and to also get Mario Galaxy 2, because I was telling myself while watching it that it was probably going to be $40. And I was like, that's fine, $20 per game. I think that's a fine value, all things considered, and that's a price I would be willing to double dip on Mario Galaxy 1 for. To not have to play it on my Wii U, which is where I have to play those games currently, and I could play it on my Switch in HD, and I was like, that's fine. And then to see them be $70 or $40 a piece, it it really soured me, man. It did. And so this brings me to a theory I have to kind of wrap this video and this conversation up. I wonder, again, theory only, speculation only. I'm just a guy with the YouTube channel sharing thoughts off the top of my head, right? You guys know that if you already follow me. So I wonder, going back to Mario 3D All-Stars, that game, that collection was a temporary release. It was temporary for the physical release. It was temporary for the digital release on the eShop. It was only available online for a period of time. I don't remember, 6 months maybe. And same for copies that they were making and selling in stores. So now you could either find a copy that a store has never sold in the 5 years since that came out, or you could buy copies on eBay, obviously marked up. You cannot buy it on the eShop anymore. And as I referenced earlier, it's a baffling decision that 5 years later, no one understands why Nintendo made Mario 3D All-Stars a limited release, physical and digital. And I wonder if, even going back to 2020 when they released that, did they always have the intention of doing this with Mario Galaxy 1 and 2? Whether that was at the time, maybe they thought they would do it a few years later for the Switch 1 only, or if they realized over time that they could do it and also enhance the Switch 2 version by making the games 4K and not 1080, whatever they were thinking, was it maybe always a part of their plan to say 3D All-Stars is limited, which means the version of Mario Galaxy in HD we're offering for the Switch will be limited, because they knew a few years down the road they could force people or coerce people into double dipping on Galaxy 1 by releasing a second permanent release of Mario Galaxies 1 and 2 together. Now I say this because currently we don't have any indication if this Galaxy 1 and 2 collection is going to be limited, because I don't know if I even mentioned this yet, but this was part of the 40th anniversary celebration, and Mario 3D All-Stars was part of the 35th anniversary celebration. So the classic Mario game collection release for the 35th anniversary was temporary. Now we have a classic Mario collection being released for the 40th anniversary. By the way, in like 2 weeks, it's October 2nd, I want to say, isn't that right? So it's releasing in like, 2 weeks, which is crazy. So this is the collection for the 40th. Will they also make this a limited release, or is this going to be permanent? And if it's permanent, it kind of, again, just kind of feeds into my theory that maybe they always knew that they could kind of get some double dipping out of people, because a lot of people who maybe want Mario Galaxy HD didn't have a chance to buy Mario 3D All-Stars in that limited window, and now here's their second option. Nintendo's being gracious by saying you can buy it now, except this time we've doubled the price of the game. Like I said, it's only speculation, but it's something that helps me justify that limited release choice for 3D All-Stars. It's all very interesting and confusing, and so to end this, I'll say that I obviously don't love what I've seen. I'm not losing my mind over it. I'm not losing sleep over it. I think a lot of people, the way they present themselves on YouTube or on Twitter and on social media, their feelings about what Nintendo's doing in the Switch 2 era, about this, that, or the other, they make it seem as though it's literally the only thing taking up every waking thought they have. And if they don't like something, they can't just be like, that sucks. They have to be so mad that they're crying and shitting out of their ears. And it's like, to each their own, but my approach is, I don't like this, and something that I thought for sure I was going to buy when I assumed it was going to be in the $40 range, I don't think I'm going to buy, unless they announce something else that changes my mind. I have Galaxy 1 and 2 on the Wii, and I have a Wii U that I can play them on. So it's like, and I have the 3D All-Stars collection. So I would like, Nintendo, I would love to buy and own an HD Mario Galaxy 2 on my Switch or my Switch 2. I would love to do it. I'd love to buy that from you, but not for $40 and not for $70 for the bundle. If I didn't have these games at all, I probably would buy that. I will say that. Let's say I had no copies of Galaxy 1 or 2, whether the 3D All-Stars or my original Wii copies. If I didn't have them at all still and I wanted them, yeah, I would buy the $70 collection. But I don't need those games, man. I don't need them, so I'm not going to buy them. You could have gotten my money at $40 for the collection, especially physical. Actually, only physical. I wouldn't have purchased them digital. You could have gotten my money for a normal price, but not for this price. And so, look, Nintendo, they do what they do. And I don't love this one here, but it is what it is. And yeah, I think that's about all I have to say about that. So thanks for watching and listening. Share your own thoughts on this below. And I'll see you guys next time.